What's going on, guys? Welcome to the My Parents Office podcast. I am your host, Andrew Diaz. Today we have episode 89. I am joined by my co-host and producer, Brett Castle, via Zoom today. We're taping this on Father's Day, so happy belated Father's Day when you're hearing this to any of the dads out there. Outside of that, what's going on, Brett?
What's up, man? Not too much.
Not too much. What's up?
So I just woke up.
You just woke up. All right.
Pretty much.
So we've got some stuff to cover. The first thing I actually do want to talk about is the thing you sent me a couple days ago about Logic coming out of retirement. I think you and me kind of had the same same thought process on it, on that you really don't come out of retirement, I guess. Retire if you're a musician. I mean, that's what I thought.
No, I don't agree with that. I think if you want to retire, you can retire. But at the same time, it's comedic when people come out of it.
Yeah, I feel like them retiring is like a musician in a slump.
No, I don't think like once you start making music, you're like destined to make it forever. I think if you lose love in it, that's when it's time to stop. And I think many people have probably done that. But I don't know. It's just kind of funny when you're not even that old and you retire, quote unquote, and then like 2 years later you say psych. Like,
Yeah, I mean, how old? I'm gonna look up how old he is because he
mid-30s. I don't even know.
is it. I typed in how old is LO and it came up with Logan Paul. He's 31. So
Oh my God.
like, I don't understand the whole. Especially, you're making a lot of money off of it, and I understand that if you don't love it, but like, I just find it odd when musicians are retiring.
Why is that odd to you though?
I don't know. I mean,
Why is that different than any other career?
well, it's not. I don't know. I mean, it's not like an athlete retiring. It's way different, I think,
No, I
because
agree.
so like, and those are really the only. I don't know. I mean, because I guess you don't really see like an actor retire. People
Well,
just.
because a lot of people don't announce their retirement.
I guess maybe that's my issue, is that he like announced a retirement and then announced coming out of retirement.
And I agree with that.
It's a very weird. I shouldn't say like I'm against the whole retirement thing, but when you make a big deal that you're going away from music, and now you're going to make a big deal about coming back to music, it's a very it feels like an attention thing. Which, I mean, musicians, their biggest thing is they're always trying to build buzz around all their new music. So I mean, he's doing that by coming out of retirement.
I think it's also just, it's kind of funny that I wonder how many more downloads he got on his last album because he said he's retiring. Like, the big thing about his last album is it was his last album.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if people were like reminiscent and trying to like listen because, oh my God, this is the last I'm going to hear of him.
Yeah, that's also weird that he's coming out of retirement after like marketing everything to be his last album. I could see this becoming a theme with him where it's like, well, now this is going to be my last album.
I don't know. I don't think so at all. I think he just rushed to judgment because what was the timeline between him getting a divorce and him announcing retirement?
Oh, I didn't even realize he got divorced.
Yeah.
Hang on, so when did I honestly didn't even know he was retired.
Like, I don't follow logic. I just
fan. So he retired.
I think I was in Florida, maybe.
It's hang on, it's not giving me like a year on it.
Probably because it was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, so say 2 years ago. So his last album was all right, wait.
Last year?
Yeah, I think so. 2019, 2020. Supermarket Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, No Pressure. Oh, and retirement. On July 16th, 2020, Logic announced his sixth album, No Pressure, will be his last, as he's retiring from music to focus on being a father. The album was released on July 24th, 2020. So
And I think that's with the new woman.
Huh?
That's with the new woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
again, I understand that, like, taking time off, but don't rush to judgment if you don't mean it.
Especially, you haven't even been retired. He got divorced in 2018. So it really, I don't think that's a huge correlation between the two. I understand the being a father part, but
I,
you
I don't
haven't
understand.
he wasn't even retired for a full year.
Exactly. Like I understand taking time off if you still love what you're doing,
Mhm.
but that him coming back, you're right. That just seems like a marketing stunt. I don't think it is. I really don't think it is.
Mhm.
But that's what it seems like from the outside looking in.
I don't know. I think him retiring was a marketing stunt for the
I
album.
don't think so.
I don't know, dude. I mean, it
I
because
think he rushed to judgment.
yeah, he could have, but I don't know. I could see him doing like a whole Brett Favre thing where he's because Brett Favre notoriously uh retired, came out of retirement, retired, came out of retirement a couple times.
McGregor does that too.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I mean, it feels to me different when an athlete does it versus when a musician does it. Because an athlete, I think it's a lot of depending on how their body's feeling. Musician, there's less of the physical aspect. There's probably way more to the mental aspect of it, but I just think it makes more sense when an athlete comes out of retirement because you know that their body is feeling a lot better. And I think they do fall under what you're saying Logic did by jumping the gun. They think like my body's so shot I could never play this sport again, and then they take a couple months off, they're working out, and they're like, I'm back in my playing condition.
For the Connor one, and I feel like it kind of relates to other athletes too. I think it's just your ego. I
Mhm.
think maybe he was like rushing to judgment because his ego was like, oh, maybe I'm not the best right now. I'm going to step away. Like,
Yeah.
body was fine, but at a loss, sometimes it's more of like a one-on-one sport, but you don't really know how a loss would do to you mentally.
Right. No, I completely
So
I
he
get
jumped the
that.
gun with that.
What was that?
So he jumped the gun with that, and then came back, and then left, and then come back.
I think a lot of guys, I think pretty much 99% of the time, guys are jumping the gun when it's an athlete retiring. I don't know, just it's because it's so rare you see a musician actually retire, is where I'm at with it. Is that it was very odd that he made a big deal about retiring and it being his last album. And then now it's not even a year later, it's 11 months later, and he's coming out of retirement.
I think it's a generational thing too. Sometimes I feel like those bands from the 70s, 80s, 90s, they were around forever. Like that just became their life. And
Yeah, no, and that's where I kind of stick with it is like you still like guys like Bob Dylan, the Beatles, Bruce Springsteen, they never stop. They just keep going. I don't think retirement ever crosses their mind.
no, because um, that was just them. It wasn't. I don't even know if they like still loved it at that point. It was just their life,
Mhm.
and maybe it just felt weird stepping away. But I feel like newer generation. I don't even mean early 2000s, but like right now, I feel like it takes less of a person to step away
Yeah.
because I feel like we see it, you just don't hear it.
Right. Like a lot of guys will just stop making music in general and just kind of walk away. And I do kind of respect that more than making a whole big deal about a retirement ceremony for yourself. And especially a year, not it's like I look at it, it's not even a year later. It's not like he waited 5 years and was like, I miss music. I just come back to that being only a year that he was in retirement.
Yeah, no, it's like my kid just learned how to walk. Let's make some music.
Yeah, I'm curious to
Like
see.
think about Kendrick. Kendrick hasn't released an album since like 17, and he's not making like a big retirement speech. Just I'm assuming doesn't love it right now, stepped away, and it is what it is.
That's the same with a guy like ASAP Rocky to me. Because like I'm a huge ASAP fan. Is
I don't
he
think he ever stops. I don't maybe he doesn't release as much, but I don't think he's ever stopped making it.
well he hasn't released as much. Like, but I also think like with guys like Kendrick and ASAP Rocky, their albums are so good. Like in my opinion, ASAP, the three albums he's put out have never missed. So I feel like guy and same with Kendrick. I feel like guys like that are perfectionists when it
Well, and
comes to
then technically five because of the cozy tapes.
that. Yeah, I didn't think about those. But like his three individual ones were great. Like Long Live ASAP. Is I think
Testing.
still one of my favorite albums. It's awesome. But I like to think when you think about like older generations of music, it's kind of a little off topic from the retirement, but I'm always curious as to like what a guy like a Kurt Cobain would have been doing nowadays, or what somebody like Amy Winehouse would be doing, or even like a Tupac and Biggie. how they would be, what their role in society and in the music world would kind of be.
It's wild that Tupac would just turn 50.
Yeah, his yeah, it's nuts. To really, it's crazy to think about. But like, do you think they would be like when we watched the Triller fight? Do you think if Tupac and Biggie were alive, they would have replaced like E40 and Ice Cube up in those chairs, and it would have been Snoop Dogg, Tupac, and Biggie just up there smoking and rapping and like
What
throwing?
the hell are you asking me right now? What is this?
No, like, do you think guys like big, like I'm just a hypothetical, if a guy like Snoop, Biggie and Tupac were still alive, what they would kind of be doing?
I feel like if Tupac was around today, he'd be more in the acting world.
You think?
Yeah.
I could
That's
see
a
that.
complete hypothetical and assumption, but the stuff that he's put out, I like. I don't know,
Yeah, I can. No, I could see that.
acting wise.
I'm curious. So with rappers, it's weird because a lot of rappers do not age well. So that's where I also am more.
R.I.P. DMX.
Yeah, yeah. But like, so a guy like a Cobain is somebody that I'm curious as what he would be up to nowadays.
He didn't age well either.
No, he did not. That's a good point. But so also we have the Frank Chamizo, the TikTok.
This is not even a story.
It really isn't a story. It's just hilarious. I'm trying to see if I still have it saved. Um, but it's the one of like the two dudes like kissing. It's weird.
It's kind of
And
romantic.
what?
It's kind of romantic.
Yeah, and then is it Chamizo the one that's walking away?
Yes.
It just I don't know. I want to put that clip out. That was just hilarious. Because I think he's got such a funny personality and he's really animated as a wrestler. So him putting that out, I thought was just awesome.
Honestly, just him having a personality is like a 180 from being a wrestler, unfortunately.
You think?
Unfortunately, yeah, I mean, a lot of guys, maybe not like this generation, but a lot of guys just used to be like, go on the mat, get your hand raised, leave, no smile, whatever. Just like
This
plain Joe Schmo.
this generation of wrestlers, I really think I honestly like when people talk about wrestling, I always think that they have some of the best characters and personalities. Like
Of this generation, sure. Like Ferrari, Nickel.
I even think like last 10 years out of really any sport. Like because I think wrestlers are the most genuine. None of them are trying to put on they're not trying to like put up an act, I think. I think a lot of them are just they're having fun doing the sport that a lot of them have been doing since they were 4 or 5 years old. They're just having a blast while doing it. Like a guy like Ferrari gets a lot of hate from fan bases, but he loves the sport. Gable doing backflips. He's excited. He loves the sport. So I think more guys like that is a really good thing, especially Chamizo at the world level too.
I feel like before these past 10 years, really the only personality really saw was like aggression, meaning like the Metcalfs, the Brands.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
When was Askren?
2008. So
Yeah, so like around that timeline is when like the personality, but so like he was really the first guy I think that was kind of not that aggression personality, but it was the
not at all.
I'm having
He was,
fun. Like you guys don't like me, and I like that you guys don't like me because I'm funky, like I'm doing what I want to do.
he was being himself.
Exactly, and I think he kind of started that wave a little bit with
No, I agree.
just being himself, growing the hair out, and like embracing that people don't like him. And I think that's the role Ferrari's going to kind of play is the embracing that people don't like me. I know 50% of the people in the wrestling community
Like
love me.
85%. Dude, people love him. How much money will he make July 1st?
Wait, what do you? Oh my God, yeah, no. It's gonna be. It's gonna be crazy. What do you think his first like legit endorsement will be?
Uh,
Fucking like Red Bull or something, just off the wall. Dude.
That's a good question. Yeah, he's gonna start sponsoring Game Bread MMA. Get him and Masvidal boys.
Yeah, that would be cool. I'm curious as to who like football is. I'm not that curious. Same with basketball. I'm really not that curious as the where guys are gonna be like who they're gonna be representing. I'm curious with smaller sports like who's going to be a big name in like college swimming that picks up like a big sponsorship or wrestling or
I
stuff
feel
like
like Ferrari will just start making money off the near fall apparel that he always wears.
I think you're going to see a lot of the YouTube got people doing YouTube channels too.
Let's play a little game. Let's think of schools and who would be the most marketable person out of that school for wrestling.
By
So
okay, yeah, you pick a school.
start with Penn State, and I'm gonna say RBY.
Are you saying just wrestling or all sports?
Correct. Yeah, I don't know other sports. Wrestling.
For like football, I'd say it would be a guy like Sean Clifford, the Penn State quarterback. For wrestling, I'd say it would probably be RBY.
Yeah, which I'm not saying other guys wouldn't be. Like Aaron Brooks probably would be. Nick Lee has good.
Actually, I would probably go Starocki.
Why?
I don't know. There's something I think
He's so quiet. Like it was
I
only
don't know. I mean, I think, or you could see even I think the three Starocki, Brooks, and RBY maybe like combining to do something to like get endorsements.
maybe. I just because of how much RBY is like RBY social media is crazy.
He's a Twitch guy too. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he is. Him. So is Nolf. Um, how much social media he does with Dominic Cruz that definitely got him a lot of fans in probably like the MMA world.
Yeah.
Let's okay, Iowa, but not Spencer Lee.
Ooh. I mean, I think Marinelli could make a lot of money off of like because he's a big not like a knock on him, but he's a big Jesus guy. Like he's big into
That's
his faith.
fair.
I think he can make a lot of money. And I don't even think he's doing it as like a cash grab, but I think
Oh God, no, he's not making money off of it. It's him.
I think he would make a lot of money from the believing in his faith and stuff like that. But another guy I think would be Cassiope.
I think Jane Ironman.
I forgot about Ironman. Yeah. I think I'd still go Marinelli above Ironman, but Ironman right below him. But in reality, those guys are 2 and 3 behind Spencer Lee.
Oh, of course.
And then I think for like another sport at Iowa, I'd go Garza, the basketball center, 7-footer with like the bushiest eyebrows I've ever seen.
They don't have other sports.
Oh, it's a good point. You're right. You're right.
Yeah. Oklahoma's easy. Behind Ferrari, it's Dayton probably.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is wild. Like you would never expect that 2 years ago.
No, not at all.
Dayton
Not
was the face of Oklahoma. Like the amount of accolades he's done, even from like a young age.
Mm-hmm.
Big mouth Ferrari walks in.
Yeah, it's crazy. It really is. Ohio State. It's got to be Sasso.
Echemendia too.
I think in the wrestling community, Sasso has more name recognition than Echemendia, though.
But even from like a national standpoint, like I wonder if he can still make some money from Cuba.
So that's not a It's
never mind. I don't know if that's true. He like dipped out of there. He like escaped.
Yeah, he burned a couple bridges on the way, so I think that's probably out.
Yeah, Sasso.
What about Michigan?
Paris? I don't know.
It's got to be Paris.
Yeah. I wish I had the rosters up.
Minnesota's an easy one. That's Gable if he does come back.
If he doesn't, maybe like Brayton Lee, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. What about Stanford? It has to be Shane Griffith.
That's not a question.
It's not even like he may even be out of all the sports, the athlete that would make the most at Stanford off endorsements.
Oh, you mean out of any sport at Stanford?
Yeah, like I'm saying out of football, basketball, maybe not baseball because they're really good for baseball this year. But like
do they have any individual standouts in baseball?
Probably. I haven't been following it too much, but I'd still say Griffith's a top 3 at the entire school, probably top 2.
Who would make the most money? It's not going to work like this, of course, probably, but who would make the most money in high school wrestling right now?
Oh.
What's your opinion on, so you know those little Bassett brothers, the ones in middle school? I don't know if it's their father or club or something, but they sell like Bo Bassett or like Bassett Brothers shirts.
Um, I don't mind that. I really don't. As long as you're not interfering with the kid. Like I think a lot of parents try to take over their kids' recruitment and their social media and build them up. I mean, check out the Instagram. This kid, his name's like Baby Gronk, they call him.
Hey,
He,
man.
it's the dad runs his social media and like pays a ton of money for him to train with like NFL players. The kid's like 7 or 8. He's going to like Division 1 camps. He's taking pictures, like flexing money and stuff. And it's the dad pretty much running the whole thing. And
That's weird.
I think that's super damaging for a kid, especially the kid's 7 or 8 years old. Say the kid doesn't grow. Say that he stays the same height and he ends up playing. Not that there's nothing wrong with it, but playing Division 3. You've just hyped him up that he's going to be a Division 1 running back or tight end. So now there's that. And now you also, I think you put a pretty substantial target on this kid's back too when he plays in high school, um,
Sure.
college level, even in the youth level. I mean, he's got 192K
Oh
on
my God.
Instagram, and he's in second grade. And right in the bio, it says "ran by parent." I mean, like this is it's outrageous what this guy and it's just I think it's disgusting when people do that. But selling T-shirts, I have no issues with.
No, I don't either. I was just wondering what your opinion was.
I would put even maybe your boy in that in the top for high school wrestlers, Buzakis.
Performance wise, yeah, he's a pretty quiet dude. He doesn't really do too much on social. He's not like he's not too animated.
But even like with the loss of his brother, I mean, he wears the Team Greco stuff. So I mean,
Yep.
even with that, like I'm not saying you try to profit off the death of a family member, but he has that too. Like he always represents it. I think people would buy shirts that represent something like that.
Yeah. Jesse Mendez would probably make some good money.
Definitely. Trying to think other colleges. What about Rutgers? Who do you think there?
Right now, Seabass, I guess. If Suriano is still on the roster, he'd be like top 3 in the country, I
I
think.
was gonna say he'd be a top 5 guy in the whole. So who would your top 5 in the whole nation be wrestler wise that are gonna make off endorsements? No order. I think Ferrari's got to be in there.
AJ, RBY, Gable if he returns.
Yup.
Uh,
Shane Griffith, I think, is top 5.
I don't know. Spencer Lee. Um, David Carr is up there, I think.
Yeah. Um, I'm trying to think. The other Valencia brother, the shitty Valencia.
Yeah, okay.
He has the Valencia name. That's what's gonna make him money off it.
Yeah, maybe in like drug dealing.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think different programs. I mean, I just think Griffith would make it.
Oh, Yanni.
Oh yeah. Yanni would make it, and then like you said, Suriano if he returns, Gable you put in the top 5 if he returns. Those guys are definitely in the mix. I mean, I think Dayton Fix a top 5 guy or a top 10 guy.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
It is crazy though because you also don't know. I think a lot of people, if they do go the endorsement route for wrestlers, are going to look at what their future is going to look like. So
Oh, I had a question for you. Uh,
yeah,
I wrote it down 1 second.
but like what I'm saying is that if a brand thinks that a guy's going to be a dominant MMA fighter, like if he has plans of going mixed martial arts after, or if he's getting into like the world team circuit, stuff like that, I think they're going to invest a lot more and just trying to look to see forecast what the kid's future is going to look like.
All right, so this is more for, and I agree with you. This is more for football, basketball. When student athletes begin making money, do you think we'll see a decline in quality of their performance?
Like on the field or on the court.
Yeah, and the reason I'm saying that is pretty much like their work ethic and how hard they're performing is so they can make the pros. I would like to think.
Yeah.
And if they're already seeing the bankroll come in, will that like diminish their quality of work?
That's a good question. So
Obviously, it's a hypothetical. I think so. Let's just say like tier one people, probably not as many of them, but think of like a tier two. If they can start getting some money in and maybe their hopes aren't as high of them going like to the next level, I
yeah.
could see them slacking.
Yeah, so I mean, like I'm a huge college football fan, and I think, and same with college basketball. I think it's the two purest forms of the game because, like you said, guys are battling. They're battling week after week to get to move up on draft boards and stuff like that. So it is, I think, a tough thing. But I also look at not all. I mean, there's going to be like 2% of these guys that are going to make real money. And I think those are going to be the real top guys. Like if you looked at last season in college football, it would have been Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Trey Lance wouldn't have because he didn't play. Zach Wilson, Najee Harris. There's all pretty much the guys that went in the first round and maybe a handful of second rounders. So I really don't think a lot of performance will decline. But I think if more and more guys start making money, like you said, the tier two and tier three guys, then I think you could see a decline in performance. But I think if it's just the tier one guys, they're already pretty much NFL and NBA ready. I think that they're already in the mindset of I'm already going to go to the league. I can start making money now, but I know what my worth already is.
Well, I'm saying like the best of the best, maybe like a freshman, sophomore year, because
I
they
think,
don't know.
I think if a freshman comes into money right away,
Yeah,
that could be a dangerous thing.
I
Um,
agree.
Especially before they maybe even step on campus. If it's like the number one 5-star recruit out of the nation,
Probably just hit a bender.
yeah, I mean, if you gave me like if you gave me 500 grand when I was 18 going in as a freshman to college, it would not be pretty. I mean, I would have blown that money on just probably just dumb stuff that I felt like I needed because I'm like I've never had this much money in my life before. So that's where I would be at, especially you get a guy that's a 5-star recruit that's going a USC. He's going to be living out in LA or he's going to be living in Baton Rouge or he's going to be living in Eugene or Ann Arbor or Columbus. Like you're living in big time places. I know Columbus probably isn't the prettiest places to live, but you're living on your own probably for the first time too. So if you have this money as an 18, 19-year old, that could be dangerous. I don't think maybe performance wise, but I think it would turn into performance wise because they would slack off. I think just in general in life because they've got that money already there.
Yeah, I think they would also just have a little less ambition too.
Yes, they're already like, well, I'm making, and I think it would also be a very interesting study too. It's going to be super interesting when it comes down to it because a lot of guys NBA or college basketball just stay 1 year. They play 1 year as a freshman, then go right to the NBA. I think college football you need 2 or 3 years. So a lot of guys will stay there the
Oh, is
minimum.
that a rule? You can have 1 year for basketball and go to the pros, and then three
Yeah.
football. Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the football one's good. I mean, if you had a 19-year-old stepping on the field with 25-year-old men, I think you'd see a lot more injuries. Even if a guy's top physical condition as a freshman, it's
Kobe.
still what's up?
Kobe.
Yeah. It would still
He was
be
right out of high school, right?
Kobe was for basketball. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think basketball is different physically when it comes down to it than football, like at the age, because like LeBron was high school, Dwight Howard, Kobe, Garnett. So I mean, there's guys in NBA that can definitely do it, but
Because there's
NFL,
not trucks running at you.
exactly. NFL, if a high schooler tried to come out, I don't care how big and strong you are, the mental aspect of it too you'll crumble.
And physical.
Yeah. So I am curious to see if guys will maybe stick around like for their full 4 years if they're making money right off the jump as freshmen, or if it's still going to keep the pattern of one and dones in college basketball and then guys just getting out as early as they can in college football.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that about what's the percentage of people in basketball that go just for 1 year and go to the pros?
Um,
For like blue chip recruits.
yeah, I honestly don't know. That it's I mean you see it every year though. It's guys that go to Duke, Kentucky. UCLA, Kansas. You see a lot of those guys play 1 year, and some of them, like there was a kid at Duke this year, played like 7 games, got injured, left Duke, and just prepared for the NBA draft. So you do see a lot of that happen. It's very rare that something like that happens in college football. Like I think that happened to one of the Bosa brothers when he was at Ohio State. He tore a muscle in his abdomen and left Ohio State just to train for the draft and rehab and stuff. So it is very rare in college football, but that's a big theme in college basketball. If a guy gets hurt or if he's not playing enough, he'll just leave and train with a personal trainer and prepare for the next level, which I think is crazy. College basketball, I think, babies their players a lot and kind of coddles them a little bit compared to college football, especially with the one and done rule. And a lot of coaches are trying to get rid of that rule. A lot of college coaches are, at least.
I agree with that. I don't know if I agree with that. Like, if they can, people still go from high school to pros?
Yeah, it's rare. Like, I mean, even when
I
guys,
mean, if you are allowed to do that, then I don't have a problem with the one and done.
I don't have a problem with the one and done either. I mean, I think if you're doing as a kid, like a 19-year-old kid, you're doing what you think is best for you and what's in your best interest if you're going to be a lottery pick in the NBA. But
Yeah,
it,
I
I,
can see.
it's dangerous. I think it's dangerous to leave early, but I mean that's not my choice, so I'm not against that. And also in the NBA, it's weird if you're a 22-year-old coming out of college, like a guy like Obi Toppin last year that got drafted by the Knicks. He was 22 and he fell a little bit in the top 10. He fell, I think, 8 to the Knicks because he was older. He was considered old at 22, and you've got 19-year-old guards getting picked early because they have 3 more years on this guy. They're younger and probably the same talent and same not the same experience, but they think that these guys will be more NBA ready, like a guy like LaMelo Ball or Anthony Edwards. It's nuts.
I mean, the universities probably aren't too fine of it either, putting all this money into a scholarship and the kids are out.
Yeah, I don't know what happens to the scholarship. I think they do get it back, maybe in some part, like when the kid leaves.
What do you mean get it back?
Like I don't think they lose that scholarship over the 4 years.
Well, I'm just saying. Well, I mean, for that freshman year, that money.
Oh, I know what you're saying. Yep. Okay. And it is crazy too when you see in the college basketball guys that play all 4 years. Like a couple of years ago, Wisconsin had Frank Kaminsky and Sam Decker, who both came in at the same time, played all 4 years, and then they dominated their senior year. I think they lost the national championship. But those guys played all 4 years and pretty much just waited it out. They were 23 when they went to the draft. Were considered older. I don't think Kaminsky's on a team anymore, but Decker I think is on the Rockets. But so they like didn't have great NBA careers, but they stuck around all 4 years, got their degree, and then left. They didn't go one and done route. So you do see sometimes guys dominate all 4 years and play pretty solid. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. And that's the same with the one and done.
Yeah.
Another thing you did send me was
I send you so much shit now. That's just
yeah,
my go-to.
was Logan Paul talking about how he wants to fight Mike Tyson.
So last night I also saw Jake Paul reached out. He didn't reach out. He like tweeted, "Good stuff, Anderson Silva. You should fight Roy Jones Jr. on the co-main when I fight Mike Tyson." Paraphrase that, but that was also Jake Paul talking about fighting Mike Tyson. What?
Right. Yeah. I'm so fed up with all the celebrity boxing just in general at this point.
Yeah. Again, the Showtime pisses me off a little bit less. If the production is a little bit like the YouTube TikTok shit, no. Lamar Odom versus Aaron Carter, no.
That was awful. We talked about that. That was terrible.
I don't hate it as much when there's an actual pro boxer in there.
I'm not a fan of Tyson coming out of retirement and doing it. I know he fought once already out of retirement, but
Well, it also his whole brand is like a legends only thing. Like he's trying to build like a legend versus legend like company. Like that's like their model. So I don't
And
know. I
I
wouldn't
don't,
have
I
a.
don't think it's very legendary to come out of retirement to chase a check and fight a YouTuber.
I mean, I don't think he's chasing it. Well, yeah, he is. I think he should just fight Evander Holyfield again if he's gonna fight.
Yeah, I would like to see him fight an actual boxer, an older guy too, like you said, somebody around his age that he had fought before. I think that would be pretty cool. Versus him fighting one of the Paul brothers. I actually think I think Logan Paul will win that fight.
Yeah, I don't.
You don't?
No, Mike Tyson looks like a beast against Roy Jones Jr. Even though they're both older.
I don't know because I always go back to that. The Paul brothers are both athletes. They're not scrubs. And as much as I hate it, I mean they're I don't know.
Well,
I
his
mean
technique is terrible. He's an athletic kid, but he's not
Tyson's a lot bigger though than Floyd too. So
exactly. That's why he like hung in there.
yeah, I changed my mind. I think Tyson beats him. And I also think it won't be as friendly if Tyson doesn't knock him out or get a TKO.
Yeah, I don't. If it's exhibition again, then I don't know if there'd be any knockouts or anything. Um, because I don't know how they would feel about Logan Paul having like the chance to knock out Mike Tyson. Like
That would,
wise,
how crazy would that be if he knocked him out?
Logan Paul looks like the bad guy because he's like a young kid knocking out a dad.
Yeah, that would be nuts though if that happened. If he somehow was able to pull that off, I would be I don't know, dude. I would be so shocked, so
But
impressed, just so everything. It would be nuts.
I mean, he's definitely faster. I would like to think.
Oh, I think so. I mean, but there was a video that went out of Tyson at like a bar or something where he like looked really crisp, like he was throwing punches, looked quick as ever. He was just like messing around shadow boxing. So I don't know. I mean,
The one with Roy Jones Jr. was like what, January, December? It wasn't long ago.
it all depends on how out of shape he is now because there was the pictures of him where he was real out of shape. He got back in shape. Now you got I wonder what his body's at now.
Oh, he was huge like years ago.
Yeah, no, he looked real. He looked really out of shape, which was. But I mean, he still has that mentality where I think when he knows he's got a fight coming up, he's gonna get back into fighting shape.
Well, that's why he did it. I think.
Yeah,
He's like, I'm starting to get. I think it was actually his wife's idea
really,
of like getting back into shape.
that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't really care who's fighting. I'm out on the celebrity fighting. Like, I played along with it a little, not played along, but like I accepted it at first. Now I'm just so out on it. I hate it, dude.
I'm. Yeah, like that's just boxing right now. Unfortunately, like there's no big names in boxing, in my opinion. Like
No,
like compared to MMA, which I'm biased on that, but I don't know because of how many boxers there are and so many promotions. It's just hard to follow like UFC bells or whatever.
yeah, and I think Tom and I talked a little bit about. I do think UFC is going to be the biggest sport in the world in the next like couple years, even if it isn't now, because you pull the audience of people that are wrestling fans like myself, you pull the fans of people that just likes watching fighting, and then you get people that are jujitsu fans and judo fans. Like you pretty much pull every background of fighting and turn them into a fan of your sport and it's just overall way more exciting than watching two guys box each other. It just is.
I feel like the majority of UFC fans got into it from the personalities, like the Connors, the Nate Diaz's, whatever. And a lot of them weren't even fans of like those individual sports disciplines.
There really aren't any personalities in boxing anymore, though, which is the thing that hurts them too.
I mean, maybe there are. They just do so bad marketing boxing.
But if there was but you knew about the personalities of like, but I mean, even when Floyd was fighting, he wasn't a great personality. Same with Pacquiao, he wasn't an awesome personality.
Floyd was. Floyd had a. He wasn't like a good like you don't want to hang out with the guy, but he was a good bad guy.
He'd be a mid-tier personality guy, I think, in the UFC.
I don't know. Floyd had a personality. He was very animated with like his money and I don't know.
Compared to the rest of boxing, he did. But I mean, if you put him in the UFC, he's I think a mid to a top to he's top of the middle. I think he's not going to be your top guy that you're going to want to market or promote because he's like he has a lot of money. That's what his personality is. He has a lot of money.
I mean, if he was only doing like MMA and not boxing, he would have got his ass kicked. You think that guy's gonna do a takedown?
No, I don't. And no way.
Since we're talking about this now, which kind of always goes back, we have our third wrestling to MMA debut in a pretty short amount of time.
Yep. Who it was Nick, right? Nick Pitch.
Nick Piccinini, first round submission.
That's awesome.
Definitely did the best out of the three.
Who were the other? It was we're talking Meredith was one of them, right?
Yeah, and Richie.
Oh, I forgot. I mean, Richie dominated, but he also fought against a kid looked like a bum.
Well, yeah, but that was also like going to like the third round. I
Did
think.
it really?
It wasn't first.
I thought it was second.
Maybe it was second, but Pitch dominated. The guy didn't even hit Pitch, I don't think.
That's crazy. I mean, and he was like a good wrestler too. He wasn't a great wrestler at Oklahoma State.
He had a better career than he pinned Spencer Lee.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I mean, he had a better career than Richie Lewis. Not B Money.
I was gonna say Meredith out of the three definitely had the best career. I think.
Yeah.
But I'll watch honestly any wrestler that's transitioned to UFC. I just think it's awesome that guys are doing that. Who is it? Caldwell's fighting. Is he Bellator?
Yeah, he's a Bellator.
Yeah. So any wrestler that's transitioned, I think, is just entertaining to watch because they've already got that grappling technique down. Like
he hasn't been doing great.
What? Oh, Caldwell hasn't?
No.
We watched one of his fights. He lost his most recent, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't look great, but
he didn't look bad. I thought he was like winning the first and second.
It was a close fight.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of guys I think a lot of wrestlers that step into UFC have an advantage, not a big one immediately, but a pretty good one because grappling I think is very tough to do versus striking. So if you've already got the grappling aspect of the sport down, I think you're in pretty good shape to be a sufficient fighter.
That's true. So we talked about I think 2 weeks ago how Clarissa Shields, the two-time Olympic gold medalist in boxing, was making her PFL debut.
Mm-hmm.
She won. One quote that pissed me off was she said that she's like the greatest woman of all time. Like what does that mean? But it's kind of interesting that some male MMA fighters are kind of transitioning over to boxing for like chasing checks. That's literally the intention.
Yeah.
And female boxers, including Clarissa, is going to MMA for money because there's no money in female boxing.
It is weird that there's more money in men's boxing than there is in the UFC. Probably, like if you
there really isn't. It's just like, of course, when one whole event is marketed off these two people, those two people are probably going to make some money, opposed to UFC when there's like a whole card that all those are not equally important, but
they're going to be equally entertaining, probably. Like the
sure, dude. I care about the prelims.
Yeah,
I care about the early prelims, and I don't care about the co-main event of a boxing card. That's a problem.
That's a good point. Yeah, no. I mean, because that goes back to just UFC being more entertaining. You could watch a prelim fight, not know who any of the fighters are, and still be on the edge of your seat and enjoy the fight versus watching a boxing prelim where two guys are just throwing. They're just it's just boring watching boxing unless it's two high level guys.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I don't like people complaining about the money. But of course, if you're that main event of a boxing card that's being pushed so hard, those two guys are going to be making money, while the rest of the card probably isn't making much. Opposed to an MMA card where someone like the first fight on the main card could still be making like a couple $100,000, which is a lot of money for a lot of people.
Yeah, no, I agree. But Yeah. So you doing anything fun the rest of the weekend? The rest of this Sunday?
No, I gotta go to Target. It's probably about it.
Have you found like a grocery store down there that you go to? Like, what was your go-to up here when you would grocery shop?
I just went to Target.
You were so is Target gonna be just your same for down there?
I've only gone grocery shopping here once. I went once my first week, and then when I came back home for a few days, grocery shopping.
Okay.
But today I gotta get some. I'm not going grocery shopping today. Probably Aldi's. I went to Aldi's once. Um, I don't know. Certain things at Target. Target's got the good frozen fruit for my smoothies.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I worked there for 3 weeks in the grocery department, so I agree. Pretty solid grocery department. 8 out of 10.
So you're a veteran.
I am. I was a 3 week vet there for Black Friday, pretty much.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
Oh, it was not fun. And that like I quit because they kept botching my schedule. I'm like, hey, the 2 days I can't work are like Mondays and Wednesdays. Like I have class those days. Please do not schedule me then. And then I would just get scheduled Monday, Wednesday, and the weekends. And I was like, you know what? This is just not worth it. Like I'm out of here.
Nah, fuck that.
But other than that, check out. We have the very first movies in The Office is up right now. We covered Monsters Ball, movie starring Halle Berry, Billy Bob Thornton, and Heath Ledger. And then next week we've got
Well, I keep forgetting Diddy.
Diddy. Yes, and Diddy was in it as well for Brett. There we go.
Diddy probably had much of a role as like Heath Ledger
No, Heath Ledger threw up. That's more of a role.
because of Diddy. See, transitive property.
Fine. But and so so we got Monsters Ball out now. Go check that out. That's up on YouTube. And then next week we've got for Brett's pick, we're gonna be looking at Chinatown. But follow us on social media at My Parents Office, on Twitter, Instagram at My Parents Office. Facebook page is up now. It's My Parents Office Podcast. T-shirts still on sale. T-shirt giveaway is going on right now on the Instagram. So make sure you're following us, like the post, tag 2 friends in it. Articles from the Office Substack. Go check that out too. But other than that, thank you guys for listening.